Hey, so somebody wrote and asked if I'd do a video on ignoring things like the news. And she said that she knows that she should just ignore the news. So she's talking about the news of things. Like, you know how the Daily Mail will publish stuff like, I don't know, eggs kill you, or, you know, like milk gives you cancer, or, I'm just making this up, by the way, none of these things are true. Or being vegan makes you live 20 years longer, or carrots are the only food that you should actually eat if you want to be healthy, or new study shows that, the cat just jumped on me, new study shows that people who drink coconut milk are going to live for 20 years longer than people that drink dairy milk. You know what I mean? That bullshit stuff that the Daily Mail loves to jump all over. I'm picking on the Daily Mail. I shouldn't do that. I should be impartial. That newspapers like to jump all over, like Fox News. It's not a newspaper, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so news sources, especially the slightly more tabloidy ones, like to get a little bit gung-ho when a scientist squeaks about something. And actually, usually, if you trace it back to the actual science study, it doesn't say anything like what the headline says. And now that's actually even usually what the scientists were looking for in the first place. But anyway, it doesn't stop them doing that. And if you're in recovery, you're probably like, yeah, I need to stop reading those bullshit studies and those tabloids on telling me to eat this and not eat that, because it's just like pseudo pop science information. And it's really difficult though, isn't it? Because you probably think, well, I know I should just ignore that stuff because it's not even proper anything. It's not telling me anything. But then your brain's just like, someone says something about food. Someone says something about health. Gotta listen, gotta take it in. And so it's really quite difficult to ignore it, even though you know that you should ignore it. Do you know why that is? It's because when your brain's malnourished, your brain is like hyper-focused on food. And people just have to say the word. Something's got the word food or a type of food in the title, and your brain, your attention's already zapped all like that headline. That's what I want to read. And that's actually a sign that you're in malnutrition, because your brain is hyper-focused on food. It gets easier as you eat more food and you come out of malnutrition. You stop giving as many shits about any of that stuff. But of course that's a catch-22, because in order to get out of malnutrition, you've got to eat more food, and eating carrots and lettuce is probably not going to help you get out of malnutrition much. Usually you've got to eat fat, and trying to find good information on fat, saying fat's good for you. It's almost like the tabloids have this personal vendetta against fat. They never want to say that it's good, even though it absolutely is. It's a nutrient. And I'm not religious, but why would God invent fat if fat wasn't good for you? See? That's how you use religion to your advantage. Anyway, even if you're not religious. So, what do? You've got to try and make yourself ignore things like that. Well, I used to find that when my brain was in malnutrition, I could tell myself to ignore stuff. I couldn't make it ignore stuff. It would just, if there was a magazine there, like a health magazine, I forget what, it's so long since I've looked at the health magazine that I can't even think of the name of one. But anyway, imagine a health magazine with some skinny person eating lettuce on the front cover. If there was one of those just sitting around in some waiting room or something, I would be like that, beeline over there, trying to pick up tips, which is so ironic. Emaciated, the least healthy, can't even feed her body, emaciated person trying to get health tips. It's just ironic that I'm thinking like, oh, I'll just like add to my health by doing something, eat food. Anyway, I digress. So my attention would go to those magazines. It's like my brain wanted to siphon something out of them, because there would be pictures of food and there would be talk about food in them, and I was all over that. And so it was very hard for me to, if something was in my face, to not pay attention to it. But I had to be clever, and for a while just sort of like put blinkers on, like a horse, put blinkers on, and not allow myself to pick up magazines like that, to pay attention, not to watch news that's like vegan or healthy or this stupid science study that's not actually true. All of that stuff, I had to be quite disciplined, and I did have an advantage because it was just before Facebook was a really big thing and social media wasn't such a huge thing. When I was in recovery, it was there, but it wasn't really like no one was on it. And so I didn't have that influence. Instagram wasn't invented, thank God. So it was easier to be blinkered and to be siloed, but it still was quite difficult, and that stuff still really affected me. So I think the more of it that you can remove from your life, the better. But most of all, you have to be very single track minded. You have to do the neural rewiring part, even with this stuff. So, for example, if I did see glossy health magazine with skinny person eating vegetables on the front, there would be a part of me that really wanted to pick that up. The neural rewiring part is no, I am not picking up that magazine. Even though I really feel that I want to, I'm not doing it. I'm going to go and pick up Automart or whatever else is over there. I'm not picking up that magazine. I'm not doing it. That's actually a rewiring thing. Whenever you do or don't do what it is that your brain sort of feels attached to and in an unhealthy way and wants to do, you're rewiring that neural pathway. So the next time there's a stack of magazines, you won't feel quite as inclined that you have to go and pick up that health one. You're going to just go for the Automart, whatever it was that you picked up last time. You'll just feel like you don't have to do anything at all. And if you keep doing that, then that's how we rewire. So it's a bit like, in the same way, a part of you is like, but I want to keep up with healthy vegan blogger woman on Instagram to see what she's doing and to see if I can get any tips. Then there's that other part of you that has to rewire that and say, there is nothing that person can give to me. Unfollow. Damn, done. Not a part of my life anymore. And so I think that that's a very long-winded answer to the question of how do you avoid watching or believing the kind of crazy health news and allowing that to affect your recovery. What's your truth? It has to be all about you. What's your truth? Your truth is likely that you are restricting food and you have an eating disorder and you need to eat more food. And that is your truth. And so it doesn't matter what the rest of the world is saying and the rest of the world is doing. You have to eat in relevance to your body. And that is going to be teaching yourself to eat without restrictions, without a care about any of the balance or if this is healthy or if this is this or that or the other or who said what about this and whatever Beyonce is eating. None of that shit. You have to focus on what is true and what your body wants. I'm going to ask Dave what she thinks about this again. Dave, have you seen that latest study that says that tuna is better for you than chicken? Is that going to lead you to eating more tuna, Dave? Or do you just don't care? Okay. Dave, do you know what nutritional science says about dried cat food versus wet cat food? No? Dave, which one do you think is healthier? Dave, do you care? Okay, one more question, Dave. Do you read health magazines?